Ladies and gentlemen, we have 18 seconds left to play here before free practice is done with, and we are going to be jumping in to the qualifying session here at GT Meister Racing. I'm your host, Exio. It's a wonderful time to have you guys here, and it's truly an honor to have all you viewers getting ready to watch this race here as we get going. Free practice is done. We're going to jump into this and get going. Let's switch it over to the live view here as we get started. Here we go as we wait for the timer to click down as we get going here. See, it should be checking in and picking up everything. Oh, what a shame, what a shame, what a shame. A little bit of a technical. Come on, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. No. Alright, give me a second. We will work on getting this taken care of for everybody. Still got a timer clicking down, so anything can happen here. Oh, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the delay. Here we go. Qualifying session has started, and we are on our way out. As you can see, the drivers are making their way out. I apologize again for the delay for everybody else, but time to get racing, time to take the battle in, time to see what we can do here in this race as we get started here at Kyalami at GT Meister Racing. It is truly an honor to have all you viewers here as we get started. So let's see what we can do here at Kyalami, and let's follow along with some of the drivers as Mr. Chrysler York is back from Sweden. Truly an honor to see him back as he returns. Definitely see if Andre Alex Alfonso here in that Mercedes-Benz, he's making his way around the track. We wait for the cameraman to pan it through in that Mercedes AMG. Can he move up the grid even more? We've got 20 drivers today, so definitely be interesting to see. It's not our usual high number that we usually have here. Can Aiden Hasbrock lock this championship out here and be dominant? And that's definitely going to be something that we're going to keep our eye on as we go through. The track is greasy. We've got 20 degrees Celsius all the way around on track and air temperature, but it's definitely going to get a little bit warmer. We still see it's super cloudy out, but it doesn't look like it's improving very well in the temperatures. The question is, what drivers around here are going to try to step it up? Number 29 is having a few issues here. Let's look at 29, Andrew Cooper. He's slow in that McLaren, trying to get that bad boy up and running. Number 93, let's see, 93 is Farmer. Farmer working his way. He's going to be the starter of the fast laps as we work his way through, as he barrels down the front straight. Definitely keep an eye on him as he makes his way down the track into turn one. Very interesting line as he comes through, and around the bend he goes. Looking super smooth, staying in the middle, not utilizing a whole lot of curve with that Ferrari as he comes up. This is a weird off camber little left-hand turn. Works his way, doesn't go super wide like everybody else. He's going to be the one that's on the provisional pole here with Chrysler York. He's going to be dropped back there, as well as we have a number 69, Andrew Jaschke. He's going to be the second one, followed by number 84. And 84 is going to be Ricky Scott. Welcome back, Ricky Scott. Definitely an honor to see you and have you back here. Definitely had a good race at Suzuka the last race, so it'll definitely be interesting to see what you can do here in South Africa here at Kyalami as we work our way through. See what we can do with Farmers. Farmer works his way up to the hairpin. He said he was having a lot of issues with this corner originally, but it seems like he's got it all locked in now. as he's getting out on the corner. He's getting a little squirrely, a little sensitive on the steering there. Looking super strong. Super fast through this left right-hand turn. See what he can do provisionally. So we have a yellow, number 721. That's going to be Keith Brown, one of the newer drivers. Looks like he's going to jump back into the pits. Asby's into the pits. Artem still has a set of lap. Louis still has a set of lap. AJ Silva has a set of lap. Here comes Farmer around the last corner and onto the main straight with that black, gray, and white Ferrari. Here he goes. What can he do? He's tracking to do a 45, and he does a 44.5 here in this race. We're going to jump up here. Where's Chrysler Dior? He's about to cross the line. He's about 1.4 seconds off the pace. Andrew Jaschke, 0.003 off the pace. Ricky Scott, 3.3. Could have been the traffic there. Brian Douglas, 1.5. Now the times are starting to roll in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what we've got here. 188. Where's 188? 188 is going to be Alan Zhu. Alan Zhu pops himself P6, 1.743 off the pace of Farmer. Now the guy who was in question, who could win the championship series, Mr. Ada Hasbrock, he's half a second behind Farmer. So Farmer's definitely looking super strong, trying to bring in the old big dub here in this race with 978. Josh Kimball in that Lexus Rexus of Apollo Racing Club, working his way through the track here. He's getting onto the main straight. We're going to see what he can do when he crosses the line here. As he goes through, what happens? He crosses the line. What does he do? 4.1 off the pace with the Lexus, but that could be the track. Now the track's green, so the pace is going to get picked up a little bit. As we see Tom Castellani, he's working his way on the back half in that Honda. Looks like he is the solo Honda driver today. As we give a huge shout out to Tim Wilkins. Mr. Carbonato's in the chat. Welcome, Mr. Carbonado. Can't wait to see you out here racing with us as we see Tom Castellani's back end kicking out. But we're going to jump back into Tim Wilkins. Huge shout out to him. He couldn't make it today. He's definitely going to be watching some of the races in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, a dirt track oval where they're going to have the midgets and the flat track motorcycles. So that's definitely going to be an interesting one. We're going to have to catch up with him at Mount Panorama and see about that. And Cole Bennett, huge shout out to Cole Bennett in the Audi. He's had a little bit of technical issues. Super awesome to see him back. Super happy to have him back as Andrew Jaschke slots himself P3.015 off the pace of the championship leader Aiden Hasbrock. So it'll definitely be awesome to see how he does as we see Cole Bennett in that Audi jumping. Oh, he is just losing it now a little bit. He just does not have the setup as we see Casey Bennett working his way through around the track. We follow along board with him in that BMW. He's been looking super strong, very strong top 10 finishes, sometimes top 5s. Now the track's coming in. We're looking at actual fast track pace here. So hopefully by the end of qualifying, the track has picked up and is at optimal performance as it works through here. And these drivers are trying to find pace in here. So let's see what Casey Bennett can do here in that BMW as he's coming around the last bend and is working his way up the hill onto the main straight. Here he goes through with the BMW. What can he do? I apologize about that, ladies and gentlemen. Working on a little bit of side things on the back behind it with the Discord, and I apologize, but we're back in action. So we see Casey Bennett slaps down a 0.55, and Andrew Jaschke now sits the fastest lap, taking pole away from Farmer, about a tenth, separating himself from the other drivers, so a huge shout out to them. Now let's take a look at some of these other drivers as we see Kevin Terrance. He has returned, and he is in that Porsche. That 912 is trying to reel something in and make something happen in that beautiful gray, orange and black Porsche as he locks up the front and overshoots. What an interesting shot there. Now we're going to jump along board with Keith Brown. Keith Brown here making his way through. He's going to slot himself possibly a 45-46 as he's about to cross the line. And he does. He puts himself with a 46-2. Huge shout out there as we're going to jump back down here as Asby crosses the line. putting himself P10. Nice job, Mr. X-Me. He hasn't been around due to some work meetings and everything else like that, because he is on the other side of the pond, ladies and gentlemen. He is on the Asian side of the pond up there in Thailand, I believe. Singapore. Singapore, I apologize. Singapore out there, as we see Louis making his way around. Let's see how Louis can handle himself here in this race as he comes through the back half of the track, making his way through the last corner. That beautiful neon green, little reddish black striped BMW as he's working his way onto the main straight. What can he do as he crosses the line? P6. And he's right behind Casey Bennett. Cole Bennett slots himself P4, 1 second off the pace. Cole Bennett's looking super racy. Brian Douglas jumps up there into that P3 spot in that Bentley. Huge shout out to him, but Matt Artem, he should be sitting there in the P3 series of this overall championship here, as we see the Audi making his way around. Different interesting color schemes. He switched it up for Kyalami as he's working himself away as AJ Silva is in. Let's take a look. We got Peter Davids P16 ahead of Tom Castellani. And let's see, Asby still 15, Keith Brown 14, Josh Kimball 12th, Ricky Scott. Matt Artem slots himself P3. Good Lord. And Aiden Hasbrock has now taken pole away from everybody by almost a full second. He's showcasing to why he's the championship leader, and he's not giving up the pace and performance. So we're going to jump along board with AJ Silva in that Bentley, that gray Bentley. He's going to try to jump up there and be up there with his semi-Bentley teammate. Brian Douglas is sitting there P6, 1.6 seconds off the pace of Aiden Hasbrock. Here goes the Bentley. Super wide, overshoots. He's giving up on his corner. See, Dominic Square's not running a lap. Ooh, so it's definitely an interesting one there. Kevin Trons did set a time, but he's going to slot himself P18 there in the back with that Porsche. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one to see as we go. Let's take a look who is on a faster lap. Matt Artem is up by a whole entire second. So this is going to put him close to Aiden Hasbrock and slot himself ahead of Farmer. Farmer still is not up on his time. The question is, does he set up? No, 42 is off. That's Brian Douglas. He's going to drop back into the pits. Matt Artem 8/10 up. Farmer is 2/10 up. So this is going to definitely help out Artem, but Farmer's going to need to find a whole entire second to improve here at Kyalami if he wants to make something happen. As he comes around the bend here in the final corner and onto the main straight. Here comes that Audi. It was a little bit wide, but still up 9/10. Can he get the whole second? Oh, he does it. 0.070 off the pace of Aiden with 8 minutes left to play. Aiden's still not setting up the Chrysler York, now up 7/10 here at Kyalami. 7/10 would bring him into that top 5 fighting spot, as we see Alfonso putting himself P4 in that Mercedes AMG. Definitely amazing pace that he is showcasing here as he's joined us at GT Meister Racing with 8 minutes left to play in the qualifying session. The track is still fast, but as we see, the temp is coming up. 1 degree Celsius. York 9/10 up. Louis 9/10 up. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Now Louis up 1.2 seconds. He's still on pace. So P10, Louis, number 33. Where is he on the track? He's coming through. He's just ahead of Chrysler York in the final couple corners, but he is not on a. Where is? Yeah, there he is. Doesn't look like he's on a fast lap, like it's registering a fast lap, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so that was his out lap. So here comes Chrysler York, and he's about to cross the line here as it goes. As Ember says, "Whoa, what is up, Ember? How's it going?" As we see Chrysler York jumps himself up to P3, now ahead of Farmer. Farmer's starting to fall back from the grid order, but we're going to keep an eye on Louis. Louis was 1.1 seconds up the pace. His last lap he set was a 43.79, and a 43.79 would actually put him right in that P5 spot, right behind Farmer. But now we have Cole Bennett in that Audi. He is Cole Bennett. He is 9/10 up on his pace in that Audi. 9/10 will slot him into that P5 spot as they're trying to reel everybody in. And we have 6 seconds left to play. Artem trying to move out of the way. Cole Bennett's trying to work his way. Ooh. Artem loses it in that corner section. As we see Cole Bennett comes around the corner, that does not affect his time. He's still up 9/10. Louis 7/10 up on his time as he's making his way through. Let's see, where is Louis? Louis just right behind him coming on the downhill section. So we're going to jump over to him. Here comes Cole Bennett. Cole Bennett's looking super racy. He's up a second as he's about to cross the line. Where's put a P5? Now Louis through Crocodile, dodging that Kirby, making his way through the final corner here. He's 8/10, now 9/10. Will that turn into something bigger? 9/10 around the corner, but we also have Tom Castellani. He's up 1.2 seconds. So we're going to jump along board with the Honda driver. Louis 1.2 seconds. Looks like he possibly, puts a P8. Tom Castellani 1.4. Let's see where he's working. He's now coming on the downhill in through this corner. He is on the fast lap. He's trying to make something happen through the bend as he works his way through on the back half of this track. He's going to have Farmer right behind him, who's going to be hauling. Misses the curb. He gets a beautiful run. Now he's up to the last corner, 1.5. Farmer, looks like Farmer's slowing it up for the final corner. Now here comes Tom Castellani, 1.8 seconds now. He's reeling in that P18 to put him up even higher. He does. P16 slots himself 4.1 off the pace, less than a tenth of a second off the pace of Mr. Kevin Torrance. And he is ahead of Peter David by a tenth, so an amazing job right there as we have Casey Bennett now. He's 7/10 up in that BMW. He's going to try to get a tow from Cole Bennett in that Audi as they work through here with 4 minutes and 58 seconds left to play. As they go through, who else is? We got Afonso. He's up 4/10. Let's take a look. Where is he at the track? Where's the 999s? The 999s is working his way through the S's and now working his way through the uphill. So Cole Bennett is definitely blinking a little bit, power sliding through the final corner. Here comes Casey Bennett working his way onto the front straight. He's still up 7/10. That's what it's registering for me, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to go into P8. Afonso up 4/10 on his time. 4/10 is going to put him up into that P3 spot if he can hold it through here with that Mercedes AMG and that beautiful Fire Sunforce. Look, Sun Energy, I apologize. As he comes through, it's hard to keep a track of the actual in-game liveries that's here. Farmer's up 2/10 on his time as well. Now 4/10, so Farmer can reel in some of these other drivers. But here comes Afonso. Afonso around the final corner and onto the main straight. 4/10 up on his time. What is he going to do as he's about to cross the line? P3. He's a second off the pace of Aiden Hasbrook. Alan Zhu in that Porsche. He is good. He is clear. He's not part of the issue here. Is Alan Zhu is now 5/10 up on the time of his. This would put him into that top 10 here at Kyalami. If he can make everything stick as he goes through. Ricky Scott's going to sit in the pits with 3:26 left to play. The question is, where are the Ricky Scott fans? We miss them and we need them now. I think he needs Ricky Scott needs the fan club to boost him up, to give him the pace and performance he needs. As we see here onto the uphill, as we see Chrysler Yort right in front of him. See, Chrysler is not on a fast lap, but Chrysler Yort looking super strong after his return from Sweden. Definitely bringing home the mother country. As we see 6/10 on the pace. Louis now up 3/10. Those are the two big movers right now. So we'll take a look and see where Louis is on the track. Louis is actually ahead of Alan Zhu. So we're going to ride along board with Louis as Louis is about to cross the line here shortly through the final corner. Through the bend. He's up 4/10. 4/10 is going to put him even higher into that top 5 spot. Oh, and it slots him up to P5. Now here comes Alan Zhu. So Alex Afonso and Farmer setting both the same lap times. Ooh, Chrysler sure brings it into P5. Zhu puts him in the top 10. As we take a look, Farmer's up 2/10 on his time. Let's take a look and see where's Andrew Cooper. It doesn't look like Andrew Cooper was able to set a time. He's fallen out. What a shame right there. Alan Zhu dives into the pits. Farmer is up a 10. This could separate himself and put him up in the P3. He just needs to make it stick as he goes through here in this race, through the final bend here as he comes around the corner. Let's see what he can do. We have 1 minute 48 seconds left to play. Can he 3/10 out of the final corner? That's what the computer system is telling him. Puts himself P3, 7/10 off the pace of Aiden Hasbrock as we go through. Now Casey Bennett's up 3/10 here, working his way through on this downhill piece. What a beautiful BMW as he's working his way through. 5/10 now. The question is, can he hold it all the way through? 5/10 will give him the chance to actually make it happen through the bend as he works. Ooh, as we see a McLaren on the side of the track. Definitely not helping that McLaren at all. And here comes Casey, 3/10 still. What can he do as he's about to cross the line? Boom, P6. 1.1 seconds, but Afonso definitely showed like he was a lot faster. Louis up 2/10 now, 4/10 now as he's coming through the final corner. Can he reel it in? Ooh, lost 2, but he's picking up pace. Oh, the question is can Afonso, it shows that he's holding off about a 10th here in this race. So if he can reel in a few couple tenths here, he can actually jump and skip. As York reeled it himself in a little bit further as he's still sitting in that P4 spot. Let's take a look. So York, Josh Kimball up 6/10, 7/10, about to cross the line with that Lexus. Definitely does not want to get called out. It does not improve. Interesting right there. But we have AJ Silva up. He is up 8/10. He's working his way on the back half of this track up to the final corner. Down in the last turn. 8/10, 9/10. Throttles out really good. Doesn't look like he's dropping much. As he crosses the line, that's going to put him into, he's done. That's P15. Let's see who else is a big mover. Brian Douglas is up 4/10. 4/10 from Brian Douglas here on the back half. 4/10 would slot him possibly as Matt Artip took pole. He took pole in the Audi by .058 away from Aiden Hasbrock. Oh, what a beautiful move right there, ladies and gentlemen. Only big movers right now. Brian Douglas slots himself P10. Andrew Jaschke, he is one of the other fewer drivers. Josh Kimball, Jamie Morrison coming in late in qualifying. As we see Azareth Azmi, he is up 2/10 in that Porsche. Hopefully Azmi can make something happen. That would put him in that closer to that P15 spot. We're going to jump aboard with him here in a second. We watch Josh Kimball. Where's Azareth? Ooh, he's about to cross the line. Let's ride along board with him as we see the Porsche driver. Beautiful line out of there. Not using, he's using all that curb. He does not care. He's like, I want all of this. As he's coming through, Andrew Jaschke still a 10th up. He's ending his time. So a 10th would put him in that top spot. Now, can he get 2 out of this corner? It shows 2. It shows 2, ladies. Ooh, now he's down to 10th. Can he rev it out to get 2? Boom, P5. P5, ladies and gentlemen. P5. What an amazing lap by Andrew Jaschke to put him into P5. What a beautiful lineup, these drivers. There was rain in practice. The track was definitely interesting to see. We're going to jump back aboard here, and there you have it. Matt Artem, P1. Aiden Hasbrock, P2. Farmer, P3. Those are your top 3, ladies and gentlemen. And the track is fast, and we are working our way through here up to the race. And there's rain. There's rain, ladies and gentlemen. Rain in 15 minutes. This is amazing as the battles are getting going. This is Kyalami at its finest. The question is who is going to be able to take everything home? Oh, what an amazing battle. What an amazing battle. Oh my God, this is truly amazing match that we're seeing here as we go through. So, as we are waiting through, so let's take a ride along board, everybody. And let's take a look at all the drivers. Here we go. Your pole sitter, Matt Artem with America United Racing in South Africa with your championship leader, Aiden Hasbrock, P2 in that McLaren, followed by Farmer, P3 in that Ferrari. We have Chrysler Yort on his return from Sweden, sliding himself P4 in that McLaren. Beautiful McLaren-inspired F1 setup. As we get going here, as we see the BMW of Andrew Jaschke is looking beautiful in that BMW P5. Fazio reeling in a P6. He's looking super strong here at GT Meister Racing with Casey Bennett. He's sitting in P7 with Louis P8. Cole Bennett's managed to make something happen with that Audi, slotting himself in that top 10 with Brian Douglas P10. Alan Zhu in that Porsche. Definitely looking strong in that P11, but Keith Brown in that McLaren looking strong as well. In that McLaren with Ricky Scott in the McLaren, the Lexus of Jay Kimball P14, AJ Silva P15, Asmi P16, Kevin Tarrance in that Porsche. We got Tom Castellani in that Honda, Peter David in the Aston. We also have Dominant Square all the way back there in 20th, and Jamie Morrison in 21st in that BMW all the way in the back. But let's jump aboard. Carbonado says in the chat, let's go, Casey. Let's go, Casey, indefinitely. Now, we're waiting to see as we go through here in this race, as we are about to pick up and we get going here, ladies and gentlemen. We're just waiting. We got a few seconds to go before the drivers start rolling here very shortly. Let's definitely keep an eye on everything. We're going to be getting going here as we start to see the drivers roll out. I apologize for the delay, but here we go. Matt Artem, P1 in that Audi. Looking super strong. He wants a little bit of redemption, but the rain is coming in. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The rain is coming in 5 minutes. The question is, how much is this really going to mess up the drivers? I'm pretty sure it's going to mess up a lot. Who's going to dive into the pits super early? We've got P29, Andrew Cooper. He's going to be sitting in the pits. So hopefully he's able to reel something in. As we see Aiden Hasbrock, he's going to be sitting P2 here. He wants to tighten up. He wants to win this championship. If he wins this race, I believe he locks the championship up and nobody else can touch him here in the overall championship. But we have Farmer. Farmer's seeking for his first win. We saw him prior in a past couple races. He's managed to hit the podiums. So now the question is can Farmer reel that in and make it into a championship? Into an actual win here at the Chrysler Yard. He's always looked super strong for a podium, so we'll definitely keep an eye on him. Andrew Jaschke trying to reel in Matt Artem. Andrew Jaschke should be sitting P2 in the overall championship. I apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen, but he's going to want to make something happen as well. Andre Afonso, he's looking for a possible podium spot here as well as these drivers are working their way. So the track is gaining in temperature. We're at 22 degrees Celsius on the track, but the rain is coming in as the time is clicking down. I don't think, who started on wet? I so wish that this track would set it up right. I wish you could see the traction compounds, because this will be amazing. Let's ask Carbonado in the chat. Carbonado, who is starting on wet tires and who is starting on dries? Do you have the information, Carbonado? Please let us know. You're going to be our insider for today in this race, because honestly, this is just mind-blowing as we watch these drivers go through here as they come through. Now, as you see the leader here in that Audi, he's working his way through the final sector as we get close to getting up and ready to run. Oh, what an amazing race. What an amazing battle here. Here we go. as the drivers work their way up the hill on the back half, side by side. They are getting ready to go here at Kyalami at GT Meister Racing. I'm your host, Exia. It's been a pleasure to have you guys here as we get going. It's going to be an amazing race as they work their way down into turn one. Oh, I'm excited. I hope you guys are all super excited. We're definitely going to be doing this one in Helicam from the top view. Drivers are backing out. Who's going to get a drive-through at the start? They're looking super racy as we're waiting for the light to go green. Green, 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 and here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Aiden Hasbrock getting a beautiful start. Cole Bennett definitely looked like he jumped into the pits as we see them work their way down the hill. Matt Artem, he's checking up the brakes super early down into turn one. Side by side they go. Looks like Andrew Jaski trying to make something happen. Farmer trying to... Oh, there's the rain. Farmer taps Matt Artem on the back half and spins Matt. What a shame there. And now the rain is here and the yellow... Oh, this is definitely going to be an interesting one for the drivers as they work their way through and down the hill. Farmer is... Oh, this is definitely going to be an interesting one. As we see Brian Douglas in the boat lead, making his way up the grid. The question is, who is starting on the west? And the rain is definitely piling in as this battle is starting to develop here. But the question is, how much is this going to affect those faster drivers? Who's going to be super slow? Who's going to have that dry setup that's going to slow them down in this race as we watch these guys work their way through? As we see Brian Douglas as Aiden Hasbrock and Farmer now separate themselves, but York is also on the run. Here comes Casey Bennett on the inside. The Alan Zoo on the outside, and we have Keith Brown working his way through. Ricky Scott in the back there with Josh Kimball. Oh, Casey, a little bit of a tap. They must have probably not seen each other going through the corner. Alan Zoo flashing the lights, definitely looking super racy. Here goes Keith Brown on the inside of the Porsche. Casey Bennett overshoots that corner. Now Ricky Scott looking to make something happen. Keith Brown sending it up on the inside. As they lock. Keith Brown losing it a little bit as the conditions are starting to get greasy and that rain is going to be there. Now the rain is starting to drop down as we start to see a bit of a cluster here in the back half as these drivers are starting to work their way through down the hill. They go. Ricky Scott being the big mover. Josh Kimball looking super racy in that Lexus. Asmi looking super racy as he sends it down on the inside in that Porsche. Katie make it stick. It doesn't look like he's side by side, that green Porsche. There goes Casey. Casey checking up behind the Porsche of Asmi as they go through side by side. It looks like a BMW lost it in the back half. Keith Brown in the back there. What a shame there as they go through. Artem sitting in the pits, probably getting some damage fixed or possibly going to wet tires. The conditions are going to get super greasy and the drivers are going to try to have to make it stick here throughout the whole entire race as we see Stefan Buckley. He's sitting in the pits. Doesn't look like he was able to really make something happen as they come through. Down the hill they go. Asby sitting there P8. Josh Kimball's going to have to try to make something work here. As we see Hope 60, look at Farmer in the rain, how times have changed. Let's take a look at Farmer in the rain. It is raining. He looks like he's holding in, other than that little tap in the beginning, which pushed Artem off the track. What a shame there. Carbino says, damn, it's poured. Yes, it is. Looks like it's going to be picking up and then getting lower as Farmer dives in the pit. This may be a horrible strategy for Farmer. He did this at Misano. He dove into the pits to change tires based on the conditions. This may bite him in the... But I will not say the bad words on the stream. This may bite him in the butt here as Jamie Morrison dives in the pits as well. As we take a look, here comes Kevin Torrance and Alan Zhu side by side, both Porsche drivers trying to make something stick. Artem's coming out of the pits. He served his pit strategy a little bit ahead of what the pit window is. The question is, who's going to dive into the pits and try to go for that 40-minute? Douglas has got the Bentley hooked up now. Good for him. Let's take a look. He does sitting there P5. Brian Douglas looking super strong. Kevin Tarrant's overshooting there with that Porsche. Alan Zhu definitely looking super strong to make something stick. As we see Josh Kimball and Casey Bennett, these drivers in this grid are definitely working to make something happen around. Ooh, Alan Zhu. Ooh, beautiful switchback as Kevin Tarrant overshoots the corners. Bro Hope says, say them. Them. As they come through, I don't know what the context of that was, but I said them. I'll say them some more. Let's take a look and see. Looks like Keith Brown and Peter David side by side. Keith Brown trying to make something happen as he's reeling all over the back end of Peter David, trying to make it stick here as they work their way up. As Chrysler York now P3, Andrew Jaschke. This is a battle for P2, everybody. Andrew Jaschke trying to make something happen with Chrysler York, but we're going to be jumping back down the grid. Ooh, as Andrew Jaschke definitely looking like he's going to make it stick. No, he doesn't. And around the bend they go. It is definitely coming down here, everybody. We have 4 minutes left to play until the pit window opens up. Definitely be interesting to see what driver decides to come out in the pit window. Strategy, it is damp, and it looks to be, ooh, the track is damp. So 15 minutes, so 7.5 real life minutes, because it's a time to progression here in this race. What happened to Cole? Cole looked like he had a bit of a connection issue, but he started in the pits. Bro Hope, he started in the pits rather than actually starting on the grid place that he was at. As we see Andrew Jaschke going side by side up into the fast right-hand turn, and he's going to make it stick. Chrysler York possibly going to lose out. And here comes Afonso as he's working his way through. So this could be a P3 finish for him as well. Hayden Hasbrock trying to lock up this championship, 6.7 seconds off the pace. As Casey Bennett is now less than a tenth off the pace of Ricky Scott, and Afonso gets past York. Now here we go, Ricky Scott, Casey Bennett. They looking at Brian Douglas for that top 5 spot. Casey Bennett's going to try something. Is he going to send it on the inside? He does. Ricky Scott gives up that position. Looks like Ricky Scott's hoping that it dries out here at Kyalami, but now that's going to allow Josh Kimball to work his magic here on that McLaren driver. Yes, Farmer did pit before the pit window, and it screwed his race. Of course, because the weather strategy, this is Bruce Hopkins. Bruce, I miss you, Bruce. I wish you were racing with us, buddy. I really do. I miss you. We need you on the track. We really do.
What's up, Hexia?
Welcome, and we have Andrew Cooper has joined us in the comms booth. Welcome, Andrew Cooper. I understand that you're having a little bit of a technical issue. What a shame there, but honestly, I'm happy to have you in here. It gives me someone to talk to rather than talking to myself all the time.
Dude, I don't know what it is, but ever since the American update, every time they have an update, because they did the update on the liveries,
yes,
it acts dumb. I don't know what it is. I'll go in and it'll be like, oh, you're connected, and then it'll disconnect me, and then I'll be connected. I don't know, but it'll sort itself out in 2 days, but it's starting to get annoying.
I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Cooper. Are you by chance still in the lobby, though, watching the race?
I can't. Every time, that's the problem. It keeps saying that it keeps disconnecting me, dude.
Oh, what a shame there. I was gonna say you could probably be the man in the sky watching. Now the question is I know you raced for a little bit. What was the talk on the grid with the whole rain coming in within the first 20 minutes of the actual time progression? Was there a lot of talk of what everybody's strategy was? Did a lot of people just go to dry tires, or did they opt to go to the wet and then just go to the full early pit?
It was a mixed bag between both. I had to re-download a set, of course, and I ended up starting from the pits, but before I got kicked off, I'd made it to 14th, but it seemed what everyone was either have one of two things. They either started out with the dries and hoping that they could have made it to the rain, or they just put on the wets. But everybody that was making it on the wets was praying for rain by the end of the formation lap, because everybody's tires were going red and orange. But luckily it kicked off in the rain. I had dry tires on, and I just know how to drive with the wet with dry tires still. So I was just gonna wait until it opened up and then jumped in, but the set of courses decided, you're not gonna race tonight, so here I am. But it's kind of a mixed bag between the two. So I foresee if it's kicks up raining and the rain was supposed to kick up within 15 minutes, it actually start raining harder. So I foresee as soon as the pit window opens up, I foresee a bunch of people doing like a long second strategy and jumping in and changing off on the wets and going from there and just hoping it stays that way.
Well, based on the telemetry here and the weather of what ACC has given me, it's saying within 5 minutes it's still supposed to rain. Within 15, it's supposed to be dry as the pit window now opens up. As we see Andrew Jaschke sitting there, P3. He's 4/10 off the pace of Afonso, looking super racy as he has joined in this. As we see Brian Douglas is in the pits, Cole Bennett's in the pits, and Matt Artem still trying to recover his race. Farmer doing a really bold, super early pit strategy. Our guess is he must have gone with the dry tire in the start of the race in the rain. As yes, Chrysler Yort, Bruce Hopkins does have the fastest lap, as he is definitely looking super racy with his return from Sweden here as everything is growing. The one thing that I really love about GT Meister here, Mr. Cooper, is the fact that when it rains, you get to see this big, momentum swing and who is fast, you know what I mean? Because in the dry, you see a lot of these guys that are really good at, hot lapping and really good times. It separates the grid, but then once that rain comes in, a lot of these drivers that we usually don't talk about, they're now up in that top 10 fighting spot, definitely, making a huge mix in the championship.
Yeah, I've always noticed that rain's always been the great equalizer, especially when it comes to motorsports. I find that what a lot of people don't take into account is a lot of people are kind of afraid of rain and everything. It's different, but what I've found that happens a lot is people don't take into account it's like the first lap. It's like extended pack racing. You have to extend your brake points. You have to understand that your tires aren't going to grip the same way, and a lot of people just don't like to be uncomfortable, and so a lot of people just don't practice it. So I mean, it is a great equalizer for sure.
Very, very much so, as we have Aiden Hasbrock, the leader of this race, as we P2 Afonso. He's now 1.4 seconds off the pace of him. So Aiden Hasbrock's original 6-second gap seems to dwindle. Looks like he must have been the guy to take those dry tires at the start, as now we're starting to see a lot of these front runners now diving into the pits to switch off to that tires in hopes that the rain is going to drop off, as Josh Kimball gets a 30-second stop go. Oh, what a shame there. That is definitely going to hurt him in the long run here in this race at Kyalami. I know Kyalami is one of his most favorite tracks, so hopefully he could make something happen and work his way through here. And we're only in the start, as AJ Silva gets a 30-second stop-go penalty. Oh, what a shame. Now, if I'm correct, 30-second stop-go is for speeding in the pit lane, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Oh, what a shame. You know what? And the interesting part is in the rain here at Kyalami, when you're coming into that first, even though the pit strategy, the pit lane seems super easy because the board is literally right there as you're taking the service lane. But it is like 10 feet of you heavily on the brakes going into that.
Across.
But now we see Alan Zhu right behind Ricky Scott. He's half a second off. Alan Zhu definitely trying to salvage something. And that Porsche getting the pull out of the corner as he's chasing down that McLaren. As he's working his way through, we are almost 3/4 of our way through this race. And the rain, it says it's supposed to lighten up, but it does not look like it's really lightening up as Ricky Scott overshoots turn 1. That's going to allow Alan Zhu to work his way through. And Chrysler Yort, who served his pit served his pit spot already. He's down in P15. As we're starting to see there's a battle up front for the lead, and it is Afonso over jumps Aiden Hasbrock for the lead of the race. Aiden Hasbrock overshoots the hairpin. Aiden must be on dry tires. He does not have the pace. So now that's going to allow Andrew Jaschke to skip over him here in this race. And so now Aiden Hasbrock is sitting P3. I don't think he really has the pace right now on those tires. He must have done the dry strategy instead of, going the wets and just kind of serving them, because he's now been gapped by almost 2 seconds here in this race. Wow, what a great equalizer the rain can have, especially with the tricky conditions of it changing here in this race. Now, overall, I mean, I understand that you've had a few issues here as now we start to see Peter David working on Ricky Scott. Seems like Ricky Scott is falling back, and he has a lot of damage. This dominant square and Peter David. Surprised Peter David's not further up. That Aston Martin is a dominant performance. Dominant performer in the rain. From my personal expertise of racing that car, it is just super fast in the rain. Now, as a driver, Mr. Cooper, and you racing in GTMR, and you racing with a lot of these drivers throughout the season, especially last season and this season, what are the big notices you start to see out of these drivers in the rain that you don't usually see in the dry?
Well, one thing that is, like I said, on like the breaking points and everything, is you can from hearing people like, I don't know strategy, more or less strategy. I'm not saying I'm the best at strategy or anything like that, but as soon as you start saying, hey, there's rain coming in, everybody just kind of goes into mass pandemonium, and they're just like, what tire pressure should I have? Is this too high? What do I do for this? What do I do on that? What do I do on this and stuff? And it's just like, sorry. I mean, it comes with experience and everything on there, but it's just like, you can only do so much, especially with the rain. That's why there's such a big window for tire pressures. Like in the dry, I mean, it's 27.2 to 27.3 all the way to 27.8, and 27.5, of course, smack dab. But when it comes down to the rain, if you can get it anywhere between 28 and 31, you're pretty golden.
Oh, as we see Keith Brown overshooting the hairpin. I apologize for that.
Oh, yeah, no, you're fine. I think one thing that I've noticed that whenever there's rain coming on, that I've noticed a lot is panic. Panic sets in a lot from what I see and what I hear and everything. So that's definitely one thing for sure. Panic and people not getting out of the mindset of, hey, it's wet, I can't brake at the same place that I can, and then they end up overshooting or sliding into people, and especially a lot more nerve-wracking when you got people around just like that.
Oh, of course, 100%. And especially, you've got this where, as the game develops and the actual design of the game keeps developing, all the cars drive completely different. I know I haven't touched the game in over about a month and a half. As Bruce Hopkins says, Andrew, thanks for being in the comms booth. A lot of respect for you and your racing. So Bruce Hopkins giving Andrew Cooper here a shout out in the comms booth. Definitely, yes. Huge shout out to you as a driver as well. But I've noticed, even just that little bit of change when I was driving the BMW, the back end was breaking out a lot more. Like the tire, the actual physics of everything in the game was just changing so much. It was, it's almost like one of those things where you don't want to take a break, because if you take a break, you're going to lose so much pace and performance here in this game. And that's the one thing that I love about ACC, is their constant develop for realism. And it's awesome to see that as we start to see Peter David and Dominant Square battle on this downhill S's.
Another thing to add on there is relearning the line, because your wet line along with your dry line are not the same. As you can see, you see all these drivers, they're all taking different lines, and it's not even close to what it would be the same as if it was your dry line, because you can see different spots are lower hanging to where puddles develop, as opposed to when it's dry, there's not. A good example is, normally when you come around after you hit this hairpin up here that we're following with this V8 when you're heading down towards Crocodile. Normally that's a flat open corner, but you have to lift when you're coming up to about the sign. You got to start lifting to turn in, otherwise you're just going to, no matter what car it is, you're just going to understeer straight off the track into the sand trap over here.
Oh, completely agree with you 100%. As we see Andrew Jaschke, our P2 driver, who is the P1 and P2, have now separated Aiden Hasbrock by 7.3 seconds. The driver that we saw that did the early pit stop, Mr. Farmer, has managed to bring himself up to P6, but the other issue is that that driver is going to have to dive into the pits, and when he dives into the pits, back down he's gonna have to go. So it's almost like you're climbing up the ladder, you slide down, climbing up the ladder, you slide back down. But that's the one thing that I love about racing in the rain. It makes you a better racer because it gives you a better idea of what you're doing. As we see the leader, he is diving into the pits. He's probably going for the dry tire strategy, and the track still says damp and it's raining. You know what's interesting is ACC is similar to like whatchamacallit. It's like the I don't want to say it, but in a way it's like the F1 games. You know what I mean? Where all of a sudden it's like optimal tire, and you're like, it's like you have to be right there to make it work. You know what I mean? In that thing. So hopefully Andrew Jaschke, when he's coming up into this pit rotation, he can make it stick and pull off a big success here with that. But now the question is P11 through 16, aside from Keith Brown having to serve that 30-second stop go, where are those drivers going to jump in this grid now that it's dry and they're already on that possible they've already served that pit rotation and they've just kind of fought through it, and they're possibly on the dry tires right now. So that's definitely going to be an interesting one to see, because you know they're already optimal. They're now going to be starting to set those super fast laps while everybody else was on those wet tires.
Well, for right now, the way that if you're already on a wet tire at the moment, just ride it out until. So what's nice is if they're on the wet, they got a strategy for both sides. So say that they're on their wet tire and they were already on the wet tire. So what they can do now is they can literally just keep riding on the line. Yes, the tires are going to heat up, but eventually with the line that's going to show, all they got to do is run off and then just hit the puddles until. To cool them down until they can go, and then to where there's like 20 minutes or so left.
Oh, we got Peter David.
There's going to be something. I'll go for it.
No. Oh, Cole Bennett's going to try that inside on the left-hander after the fast right on Peter David, and he's going to make it stick. This is not for position, in my opinion. I get it. He's trying to race to work his way up, but this is definitely one of those weird spots where you want to be racy, but at the same time, that was a complete battle for position of the P7, P8, and you have a back marker just sending it in between them. It's definitely going to be an interesting one, just kind of like right now where we have Josh Kimball trying to chase after Cole Bennett. Cole Bennett's also going to have to serve his pit rotation as well, so it's going to slot him back. That's kind of one of those things where, I mean, as a driver, I get it. You want to be racy, you want to race with everybody, but at the same time, where you have that big fight, you know what I mean? It's kind of like one of those where it's like, you're not supposed to be here kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. Sometimes it puts you in a weird situation because it's just like, I got to move up, but at the same time, you don't want to take away from someone else at the same. So it's kind of.
But at the same time, a driver could fight it. You haven't pitted, so your pit rotation where you're at could actually be a good benefit to helping you out. As the track is drying up, the temperature is going up, ladies and gentlemen. It started at 21 degrees Celsius, and now we're at 25 degrees Celsius. So those drivers that are on the dry tires are definitely going to be picking up, as Mr. Kimball now trying to send it on the inside, side by side with Peter David. Super clean racing. That's going to allow Dominant Square to catch up to Peter David. That will be position for P8. Actually, P8, P9. Oh! Dominant Square loses the back end, taps the side of Peter David, but Peter David was able to save it on that fast right-hand corner. What an amazing, as Bruce Hopkins says, am I seeing that Aiden is not as dominant in the rain? Tell me Time will tell. Aiden Hasbrock, Bruce Hopkins, I think he ended up going on a dry compound tire throughout the whole entire race, and it kind of shot him in the foot here at Kyalami. I think he was only expecting the rain to only last for a little bit, and then it go back to dry.
Oh.
Ooh, as Keith Brown gets disqualified. The question, I'm trying to wonder how a lot of these drivers are getting disqualified in the race here. Probably not serving that 30-second stop go possibly here in this race. As now we're going to start to see Josh Kimball. He's working his way up to Kevin Tarrant. Josh Kimball down at P16, Kevin Tarrant's P7. But right now, this could, honestly, if Kevin Tarrant did his pit rotation, this could be an amazing battle of actual true position. So we're going to see how this all plays out as we have a yellow sector. Yellow, and where is it? I do not see it on the track map. We do have a yellow. Ooh, and there's Chrysler York coming out of the pits. It's going to slot him in there, so he's definitely going to try to work his way. Matt Artip sitting there, P18. What a shame they're getting rear-ended there at the start of the race, but he hopefully can manage to reel himself in some of those points. Now, as a driver, Cooper, when you have that incident, and I get it, a lot of things are not intentional, but when you have a driver and they accidentally tap the back end of you, you know what I mean? Whether, you know, the rain all of a sudden came in and then you kind of lose the back end. What is going through your mind as a driver trying to rework your way up where, let's say you put yourself in P3 or on pole, as Matt Artem did have an issue with. Now, talk, like, what is going through your mindset when you, like, go from back all the way to the back and it's like, okay, I know I've got a pit. I know it's not in the window to fix the damages. I mean, are you just kind of like, I'm just going to have fun and just race? Or are you kind of just, you know, push?
Normally for me, what it comes down to is depending on where I go, how the incident goes, checking, seeing how much damage I got. If it's movable, even with,
we have Casey Bennett. He is on the side of the track. I don't know what happened here, but he stopped on the side of the track. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully Carbonado, if he is still watching, Carbonado can jump into the chat and let us know. The track has gone greasy, but he was sitting there in that top spot. That is definitely interesting to say the least. I'm very curious. As we see Casey Bennett, he is diving into the pits unless he may have messed up his MFD in the car, because I know sometimes, you know, depending on the wheel that they have, the wheels that the drivers have, they can sometimes accidentally forget to set something and then it just throws them completely off in a race. So that's definitely going to be interesting. Oh, man. As we see Josh Kimball gets past Kevin Tarrant. Kevin Tarrant takes his Porsche on a stroll. So now this is going to allow, let's take a look, Chrysler York is going to catch up to Kevin Tarrant here as this battle is starting to develop, as we see Dominant Square behind him, Chrysler York. So now we're in a weird spot in this race here. We're halfway through the race. We're at 32-minute mark, 22 minutes left of the, oh, Kevin Tarrant, ooh, the back end snapped. I thought people were going to die. Nobody died, but we are good. But we're stuck in this weird spot, Cooper. As a driver, I want to know your honest opinion. When you're stuck in a weird pit rotation where you know where you're at in correlation to performance because of where you qualified. Oh, Carbonado tells us Casey Bennett, what happened in issue, his engine died, which is very interesting. Maybe he must have flipped the wrong switch on his wheel and accidentally shut off the engine. So hopefully Casey Bennett can, I mean, he served his pit. He's sitting P10. He's got 5 drivers ahead of him that haven't pitted yet. But back to you, and I apologize.
Yeah, you're fine.
As a driver, you know where your performance is. Like, say if you qualify at this, you know what I mean, with everybody around you, and then you're supposed to somehow reel yourself in, you know what I mean, and you're battling all these people in different positions. I mean, are you looking at it as like there's blue flags around me, okay, I'm gonna do my thing, or are you actually like I really am going to, like, I mean, how are you looking at everything?
So I think the best way to put this situation is for some, I guess it's just the curse of this one, but if you remember last season when we were at this one, I had to start from the pits and I started dead last, and then I ended up like eighth or
Yeah.
something like that. But I think for me at least, it's more or less it's just like, okay, you get dealt, you start off and unfavorable things happen, you get dealt the hand that you get dealt. So pretty much the best way for me at that point is get my head down and just try to do the best recovery race that I can, because in the end, I mean, you're gonna have battles and stuff like that, and it's just like that. Sometimes when I know, like, I come up on somebody, it's just like, okay, I know I'm gonna be under blue flag, but I know I'm faster than this person. Just get around them and just keep going. I
Hmm.
mean, don't if you can't stay collectively in front of them, don't keep battling them or
Hmm.
anything, or don't get in between. Like for me, if there's two or three people, if I'm coming up on two or three people, but I'm coming up on them quick enough,
Hmm.
then I'll pass them if I can. But if I get pulled into a battle that I don't need to be in, I'll just have to sit back and wait till the opportune moment. If I can't get around them quick enough, then
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not. That's not my place to be.
Yeah.
So it's it's a it comes with racing IQ, I guess. Just know when you can be there, know when you can't. Get in, get out. Don't leave yourself to where you could cause more chaos and more trouble. So, and I've noticed that some of the younger drivers need to take heed and know how it need to like take back and kind of learn from that, because I know that, I mean, not saying that I've been driving for like ever, but it's just like you use your racing IQ, because it's just like you may end up hurting yourself more in the end. So it's just like take 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 calculated risk.
Hmm.
So that's
Well,
that's
yeah,
kind of
you
my
you
thing.
don't have to send it every corner. I mean,
Oh no. No, no, no,
just,
no.
sometimes even just following the guy. A lot of times, like for me when I'm racing, sadly Jamie Morrison couldn't be racing with us today. But I know when I'm bad, actually, no, he's not here with us. But I know racing with him, I will sit like right behind him and I will follow him, and I know it causes him to mess up and have issues, and then he makes a mistake. So overall, I know that's definitely helpful. Now,
Pressure's a great weapon.
oh yes.
There's guys that I race with, and it's just like, okay, this guy can fin and he's quick, but like I'm just gonna stay close to him and just put the pressure on him. And a lot of time people will just get psyched out and make really dumb mistakes. So
And here we have it,
that's a great tool too.
ladies and gentlemen. Chrysler York is on the back end of Josh Kimball. Casey Bennett is on the back end of Dominant Square. Casey Bennett makes it stick. Going around the bend, he gets past Dominant Square, so that is definitely a move up for position. He's sitting P9. He told me this week he wanted to keep his top 10 streak going, and he is definitely keeping that all going. As now we see Chrysler York, he is making them move on to turn one, but that Lexus is looking super strong. I have to say, I give Kunos huge props that they are, a lot of these cars that are actually racing, they're keeping up with everything. It's now we start to see one of the front runners that haven't pitted, Peter David. He is diving into the pits now. The track is still greasy, but it's now coming up to temperature. Wonder if it's going to be optimal at all, as now Chrysler York's going to try around the outside, and it looks like he makes it stick around Josh Kimball, and that's going to be a spot for P13, as we see Alan Zhu, who's P5. He's going to be right behind Josh Kimball, and Alan Zhu still has yet to pit. This is that, like we were talking about, that weird spot where you're like, okay, this is a battle for contention, but I'm P5, but I haven't pitted. Oh man, what an interesting race that we are having here. But we're also jumping to blog board. Andrew Jaschke is all over Andre Alex Fonzo in that P3 spot in that AMG, side by side into the final corner they go. That BMW looking super planted, and he's going to skip over that AMG. Both of these drivers have pitted, have done their tire change. 1 and 2 still have yet to pit. And they're only 5.3 seconds off the pace of P2. So that is definitely interesting. As Farmer is about he's 16. I apologize. He is 16 seconds off the pace of Aiden Hasbrock. So both of them have to pit as we see Alan Su dive into the pits. The only other drivers we still haven't seen is Hasbrock, Farmer, Kevin Tarrant, and Azareth Asmi. So that is definitely good. As Josh Kimball dives into the pits. Man, the strategies. I mean, I know they're probably not strategies. I'm guessing maybe someone did a interesting call to dive into the pits and switch up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I mean, it is definitely, as we hear Bruce Hopkins says, this is a great race. I wish I could have been in it. I wish you could have been in it as well as Andrew Cooper, but it's always a blessing to have Andrew Cooper here in the booth with us to talk about the races as we develop here in the series. Because in all honesty, you know what I mean, a lot of drivers, a lot of viewers don't know a whole lot about motorsports racing, but they love it. You know, it's definitely getting amazing to get a driver's input of how everything progresses here in the race. And huge shout out to all the viewers watching. If you definitely want to see a driver that is racing, I apologize. This is the weird spot of the race where all the drivers become spread out and there's not a whole lot of battling, where we actually are pretty much just waiting. But now Andrew Jaschke is trying to take the fight to Farmer, and he's got Ricky Scott in between him. And it's definitely an interesting one, to say the least. Now, as a driver, when you're out there and you're racing, as AJ Silva dives in the pits as well, I'm very curious what these drivers are doing. It's... I'm a little bit dumbfounded, because I would have thought that some of these drivers that may have started on the wets had already pitted, but I'm trying to figure out why they're pitting again, but it's not showing any yellows. Now, Andrew Cooper as a driver, what are your thoughts on this?
Why people are just randomly jumping in the pits?
Yeah, it showed Josh Kimball dove into the pits. It's now showing AJ Silva is into the pits. Andrew Jaschke's looking to make something happen around Ricky Scott. Ricky Scott overshoots the corner to let him through. That was a little bit of a pressure move, and this is the one thing that irritates me. Like, as a commentator that's watching, I mean, I'm all for, like, you know what I mean? It's like, let the drivers give you chances to get through. You know what I mean? I get it. You know, some of the drivers, yeah, you're going to have you're getting blue flag, but when you're coming up to an S's, just go through the S's, allow that driver through, and then let the battle continue. You know what I mean? Like, wait through the S's, then let the driver through. I mean, because it's not going to hurt anybody's race as they go through.
Oh, somebody went up. Honestly, I think the reason why you've got all these random, like, jumping in, let's see, Hasbrock hasn't pitted, Farmer hasn't pitted, but Farmer's going to pit twice. So, honestly, more than likely what's probably happened is, since rain wasn't popped up, it kind of caught everybody off by surprise. You had two splits. You either had people that started out on the dry tires, or you had people that started out on the wets. For me, I started out on the dries. My whole thing that I was going to try to do, which it probably wouldn't have worked, but I was going to stay on the dries as much as possible, but by then it probably would have... I was going to stay on the dries as much as possible, even though through the wets keep kicking up the TC and the ABS. Well, some of the guys went on wets, so what their projected thing they should have done, stay on the wets even when it started getting damp. Use the get off the dry line whenever you get on the long straights to cool your tires back down so they didn't overheat. So more than likely what's happening is when they went in and they did the dries, they switched over to the dries. With the temperature dropping, along with this not even being an optimal track, and this isn't something that people kind of took into hand, more than likely what they did is they went in, got dry tires, and they're probably underinflated. So rather than keep losing time and sliding all over the place, they probably dump back in for a higher pressure tire to jump back and take off.
I can honestly see exactly what you're saying, but this is definitely an interesting development. Andrew Jaschke has passed Farmer for that P2 spot, and Farmer just let him through, probably just knew, hey, look, I got a pit, and there's no competition. There's no reason for me to fight you. I'm going to dive into the pits anyways. But this is possibly, he is now Andrew Jaschke off that pace. Where's the leader of the race? He is on the other half of the track. And Andrew Jaschke is setting fat laps blow for blow with Aiden Hasbrock right now at 145s across the board. They're trading blows. So honestly, Andrew Jaschke, if he keeps this up, Hasbrock still has to pit. So if he can keep this up, and if Aiden gets a little bit of a drag from a driver in front of him, Andrew Jaschke could win this race here. Which is definitely a big momentum swing, especially with us going into the final race of the season, which is Mount Panorama, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You know what I mean? Mount Panorama is going to be our final race of the season before we take a mini break and then go to our and then start up again. I mean, wow, as Aiden Hasbrock is in the pits. Here comes Andrew Jaschke. He is on through the S's up to the hairpin. Question is, where's Aiden's pit? Is it like, okay, it's a front box, okay. It's kind of like F1, where did they pit? To get an idea of where they're going to come out at. Andrew Jaschke's working his way down the hill. Now the question is Aiden's definitely going to have to push it to get to pull away to at least set a get, like, to if Andrew does get jump him, it's definitely going to be an issue. As Bruce Hopkins says, XE, a great stream. Thank you very much. I want to give you guys the best stream possible. Ooh. Andrew Jaschke having a little bit of a scary moment. Aiden Hasbrock has been released from the pit. He's working his way down the pit lane. Andrew Jaschke's on the front straight. Did he jump it? Aiden Hasbrock is coming out of the pits. So now he's definitely going to have to get the tires up to... Here they come into turn one. Andrew Jaschke can see Aiden Hasbrock in the distance. Asby is just in the way here as they come through. Aiden Hasbrock is definitely going to get that nice pull away. Oh, he must have just... If he had waited a little bit longer, I have a feeling Andrew Jaschke could have gotten him, but anything is possible, as Andrew Jaschke set a 44.6 on that fast lap before Aiden Hasbrock came out of the pit. So it is possible he could reel him in as much as possible. Oh, now we see Farmer and Kevin Tarrant in the pits. Now we're going to jump down and take a look at Alan Zhu. He is taking a look on the inside of Dominant Square, catching a lot of that curb on that hairpin. And, you know, honestly, that hairpin on that uphill, Andrew Cooper, must be so scary in the sense of when it's raining, because your brain is telling you once you cross it, hit the brakes, and usually you are... You know, most people, like myself, I'm usually a lot heavier on the brakes and then utilizing the throttle to, like, you know, rotate around the corner, you know what I mean, to go through that hairpin piece. And I'm pretty sure it must be crazy in the rain as you're working, especially when you're battling other people for position.
You're talking about the one before you go down to Sunset?
Yes.
Actually, that's actually a lot more tame than you would think in the rain. It's actually quite wild in the dry as opposed to the rain. The rain's not that bad. You more or less got to worry about understeering off the track, if anything. Now in the dry, it's a whole different animal, because if you use the throttle a little bit too much to rotate, especially in like a vehicle like the Lexus or something, then you're gonna come face to face with the wall real quick, fast, and in a hurry.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Farmer is out of the pits. Casey Bennett is right behind him. This is a battle for P4. Right now, your top three: Aiden Hasbrock, Andrew Jaschke, Alex Afonso, P3, Farmer P4, and Casey Bennett is looking super racy in that P5 spot as they are working their way down the hill. Question is, can Casey Bennett make something happen and make it stick as he goes through? His last lap was actually a 145.112. Farmer's best lap was a 148.6, but the track is picking up in pace. We definitely saw Farmer was looking super strong, but the BMW has been the car at times at Kyalami over the Ferrari. As we see Josh Kimball, he is P16 and he is following along behind that BMW. But we also have Cole Bennett in that Audi that's P15 that's ahead of ahead of Josh Kimball. Can't talk today. He is ahead of Farmer. Now the question is, we know Farmer's going to have to work his way around the track and work his way through the drivers. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. As Alan Zhu has now jumped dominant square for that P6 spot. Kevin Tron's in the pits to serve his 30-second stop go. Now we have 15 minutes left to play, as I like to call the happy hour, as the drivers now like to close in the gap between everyone and let the battles develop. I'm curious of how much is Cole Bennett, not really hold up, but, as a driver, Andrew, when you're chasing, you got a back marker in front of you. And of course, you both have to work your ways through the grid. How much of that dilemma does that hold you back in a sense? When you're trying to work your way through, like not even, I know they don't do it intentionally, but like how much of that do you actually fully have to play into effect? I know a little bit, but I mean, is it like a massive amount that you're hoping that you can make it through?
It's 50-50 sometimes. Honestly, I think it depends on the league that you're in, because there's some organizations that I've been in to where it's just like, you're under blue flag, bro, move over, and they just
Oh, Farmer loses it! Farmer loses it! Oh, did he catch Crocodile? I think he caught Crocodile and lost the back end of it.
Oh, I'm way behind you, bro.
Oh, man. Yes, I think it's a 15-second delay. Oh, yeah. You'll be seeing it here shortly.
I think, like I was saying, I think it depends. I think it depends on the league, because especially in this one, the guys are really good about getting out of the way, especially when they know who it is. Yeah, he caught Crocodile. Or Cheetah. He caught Cheetah.
Cheetah, Crocodile. I don't know. All these corner names.
Yeah, he caught Cheetah. Back right tire.
Oh, thank you for the follow, CRT Sanchez. Thank you again. Thank you for following us. If you would like to join us, we'll definitely drop a Discord link in the chat for you. I can't talk. That's why we have Andrew Cooper in the booth joining me, so he can be a part and talk as well. Definitely. I mean, the one thing is, like, the track is easy, but it's so hard at times because it's got that weird. It's similar to Watkins Glen, where it's got that weird off-camber elevation change. It's not like normal elevation change like Spa. You know what I mean? Where you're up the hill, down the hill. But this, you have these weird corners where you're going around it, but you can feel the car kind of off-camber-esque, and you're just like, what am I doing? As we actually, as we're riding along board a dominant square, and there's the leader, Aiden Hasbrock. He is past dominant square, so he is officially lapped it. But now Peter David is all over the back end of dominant square. He's definitely trying to make something happen. And oh, that's right, Louis did he was looking super strong in qualifying and couldn't. I don't know. Did he disconnect? I think so. Oh, what a shame there for him. Truly an amazing driver. Huge shout out to the Sim Lounge guys. They are truly an amazing people to hang out with. Bailey saying CRT Sexman, my goat. Welcome, Bailey, to the chat. And there's a Discord link if you guys want to join in and participate and race with us. We are getting close to the final. As Dominant Square loses the back end on throttle. What a shame there for him. And we have 11 minutes. Oh, I think Peter David may have tapped the back end of him and made him lose the back end. So Peter David slowing up, allowing Dominant Square back through. We're waiting for Dominant Square to catch back up to him. And here comes Dominant Square. He's catching up to Peter David. What an amazing display of sportsmanship. And that's the one thing that I love about GT Meister Racing, and is the fact of the amount of sportsmanship. Like, if a driver makes a mistake, you know, he's not just going to drive off and be like, well, I don't know what to do with it. He's going to try to make it right. You know what I mean? A lot, you know, and of course, you know, a lot of drivers, and it's understandable, and it's been talked through the chat, is, you know, sometimes you can't fully just stop on the track. You know what I mean? If you have a big crowd of groups, you know what I mean, you kind of, it's kind of one of those give and take situations. And, you know, but all in all, I'm super happy, and I love the core group and how everybody's been performing, and it's just looking super strong. But now here we have AJ Silva on the back end of Tom Castellani. This is a battle for P13. For those that do not know, at GT Meister Racing, we give points for the top. Oh, AJ Silva, Tom Castellani in the back end, and tips the back end, and they lose it. And here comes Josh Kimball having to avoid them coming out of the pit lane. Oh, that was definitely interesting, and definitely not something I would have. I'm going to go with a bit of a, you know, one driver tried to close the door a little bit more than the other, and then they kind of just lost it there, and that's 10 minutes left of the race. What a shame there.
Oh, my.
I mean, what a shame there. As we start to see, let's take a look and go down the order of the drivers here. So we have Aiden Hasbrock in that beautiful silk cut McLaren. He's definitely trying to close out this championship. He's a reigning champion from last season, and he's going into this season. And there's talks of him possibly retiring the McLaren for next season and running something completely different. So that would be definitely an interesting one as well. I'm pushing for the Jaguar.
No chance.
No chance. I mean, you know, it's funny that, you know, a lot of the PC guys, as we talk about the, the pace of the, of the Jaguar, we were joking around. I think we were doing one pub race with Aiden, and I was like, I'm doing the V12 Aston. He's like, I'm going to do the Jaguar. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now, mind you, I'm not a super fast driver like, you know, Aiden. But when he did a 149.5 in a Jaguar at Monza and everybody else is in, like, normal cars, that's when you kind of, you know, you start to, you know, you start questioning your racing skills there.
Mm-hmm.
As we see Aiden Hasbrock catching up to Matt Artem here into turn one. Let's work our way back down through the grid. Andrew Jaschke sitting there, P2. Almost made it work and bringing himself in for the win of the race. But the question is he going to be possible to make it happen at Mount Panorama? Because we all know Mount Panorama, the mountain of death, as I like to call it. Anything is possible, so definitely be interesting to see where he is as Andre Alex Afonso sitting there P3 in that AMG, bringing it in the podium spot here with 8 minutes left to play. The track is still warming up. Now we're up to 27 degrees Celsius and a fast track. Now, the only thing is as a driver, I would probably lose my mind is all of a sudden you're like, okay, I got 8 minutes left to go, just dealt with rain, and all of a sudden you start to see that graph. It's going to rain again. And then you're just like, well, you know, never hated my life as much as I do now, those kind of moments. But, you know, it's definitely awesome to see all these drivers still participating, still racing, still having fun. Huge shout out to everybody, you know, as they're racing through. Now, for some of the viewers that are interested in wanting to join GT Meister Racing, definitely let us know what are your thoughts on the league so far. I mean, your honest review.
I'm telling you right now, if I don't get to do Mount Panorama next week, I'm throwing my computer out the window. I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. He loves the league, but hates his computer. So
I was so mad. It's my favorite track.
But don't worry, we'll definitely have the America's tracks next season, as we will be doing an amazing things, as well as we're definitely going to have some huge possible big changes going into next season to allow drivers to help them develop each other and grow as a team and build. So that is definitely going to be some things that you're going to be starting to hear towards the end of the season as well as the mid-season. So if you want to join us into join the Discord to be a part of it, you'll definitely keep up and checking to see how all that is going. Now, as the temperature is growing faster, we are also seeing faster times. We're going to jump down along board and ride with Chrysler York as he's working his way on the inside of Ricky Scott into turn 1. Surprisingly, side by side on the Kirby, Ricky Scott almost halves it back into Chrysler York, as Chrysler York is definitely on a massive recovery. He goes wide. Now Ricky Scott's looking to make a move, but Ricky Scott lifts off a little bit, which is definitely an interesting move. They are going to work their way through the fast right-hand bend here with the McLarens. And surprisingly, through this season, I was a little worried that the McLaren was going to overshadow a lot of the grid. Surprisingly, we were able to bring it in and actually have a very good spread of drivers throughout the season. A lot, you know what I mean? We got McLaren, BMWs, AMGs, Ferraris, Porsches, Aston Martins, Bentleys, Lexuses. I mean, and even a few Hondas. So it's definitely super exciting to see that we have a very amazing variety of drivers here at Kyalami.
The Honda.
What's that?
I said I would love to drive the Honda.
Well, hey, next season you definitely have your chance to race the Honda.
No, that shit kills me.
As Peter David dives into the pits, huge, interesting. Maybe did people accidentally mess up the fuel strategy? I don't think so.
Could have. There was a lot of there was a lot of mass panic that those 3 minutes when after the qualifying, when all of a sudden it's like it's gonna rain and everybody's like, oh no. So yeah, there was a lot of mass panic.
Farmer actually, he has dipped out. Possibly something happened to Farmer in the race. Definitely be an interesting one to say the least, to see what's going to happen there. Peter David gets a 30-second stop go, and he is P9. That's going to allow Brian Douglas to slot himself up. There's 4 minutes left to play. Peter David should just race the race. Don't use serve. You're going to have to serve the penalty anyways at the end of the race with 4 minutes left to play. What a shame there. Oh, my God, for Peter David here in this race. But so far, we're going to go back through everything as we see it. Aiden Hasbrock, P1, Andrew Jaschke, P2. As Andrew Jaschke is starting to work his way around AJ Silva here on the track. Andre Alex Afonso in that Mercedes-AMG through turn 1. He is looking super racy in that P3 podium spot. Casey Bennett bringing home that top 10, or better yet, that top 5 place here with that BMW. He's looking super racy. He is a driver that came from iRacing to join the ACC community, and it's definitely an honor to have him here. As well as we're hoping that his son, Carbonado, you'll see him in the chat, as well as if you join the Discord, definitely be able to see him join in with us and race him. Definitely be interesting to see an amazing father and son, battle. The dad saying, okay, you're racing this car. You're multi-21. I want that spot. As we jump down along board with Farmer losing out, that's going to slot Alan Zhu up into that P5 spot with that Porsche. This is probably going to be his best finish so far here in this race, as we have dominant square in that P6 rotation in that BMW. That's going to be his highest spot, as well as Chrysler York is hauling to bring himself even higher. He was racing in that big top 5 area. Now he's sitting there P7 with Ricky Scott in that P8, Peter David P9, as we see Peter David with Brian Douglas behind him and Kevin Tarrant as they are working their way through. Cole Bennett P12, Josh Kimball 13, Tom Cassiani 14, Azers Asby P15, AJ Silva 16, Matt Arton 17, and Stefan Buckley, who was late to qualifying and a little bit late to the race. He's going to slide himself to P18. Definitely a huge shout out to him. And did an endurance event here at Kyalami with him, and that was the SimGrid Challenge. As Brian Douglas is going to allow Stefan Buckley through. So what are you expecting, Andrew Cooper, as we have 1 minute 40 seconds left to play? There's really not a whole lot of battles. What are you expecting for the final race at Bathurst? I mean, are you expecting for a massive showing or a massive destruction?
Well, the way that it's going right now, I'm expecting to have my computer work all the way until it's time to go. It's going to crap out. I'm going to throw it out the window. I'm going to have to go dig it back out. then get back on comms with you and work this out. But assuming that everybody doesn't try to kill everybody in turn one and we make it through Hell's Kitchen, we make it up to the Griffin's Bin, get up to the cutting, and if everything hasn't kicked off, hopefully we'll all make it around to the chase. And then pursued on to lap two, and nothing goes nuts. And that's what we hope. But more than likely, someone will send it in the. And I don't want to say this, but I think it's going to get a little hairy going up into Griffin's Bin, but and possibly the cutting. But after that, the only thing we got to worry about is the roller coaster at the top of the sunset, and that's about it.
And you know,
But
that's
hopefully
why
it'll
they
be nice.
And that's why they call it Hell's Kitchen. And you know what, honestly, I'm super excited. I'm super happy. I want to see how everything performs. Stefan Buckley is racing Peter David, and Stefan Buckley clearly a lot of laps behind, and that's going to mess up Peter David's race, and that's going to allow Brian Douglas, even though Peter David's had a 30-second stop go, that is definitely not helping anything as a whole here in this race. Your leader just passed the finish line, he's going to win the race as he is celebrating by sending his car like crazy across the line, which I don't get the whole thing. As I guess this is a big thing now. As the drivers go through, we have Alex Alfonso. He's working his way through. Cole Bennett has finished the race. Josh Kimball has finished the race. AJ Silva, Matt Artem, he has finished the race. Peter David still through. Alan Zhu he has finished the race. We are just waiting for the rest of the drivers to cross the line and finish this race here. This race was definitely a drive to survive if that's the case, especially with the rain and the weather. But this is definitely going to bring in a lot of big points for a lot of those drivers that were in the back that needed. And of course, the race goes to optimum track conditions right at the end of the race. The time when you wanted a 90-minute race, only so you can see track optimum conditions here as we go through. So we're waiting for P3 to cross the line. He's working his way through down on the back half as we see Kevin Tronson following him as well. But let's see. Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one going into Bathurst. As we'll wait for get the drivers, the podium drivers here in this race, so we can get an interview with them and have a talk with them as well as they go through. And there goes Alex Alfonso. He's going to finish the race as we are waiting for Casey Bennett. He has yet to cross the line, and across the line, he is your P4 finisher. What an amazing race by these drivers. We will be right back. We're going to get these drivers in here and talk to them as we go through. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I apologize for taking a while. We needed to get our podium finishers in here, and we are going to start with the P1 finisher, Mr. Aiden Hasbrock, who has locked out the championship for this season. He is a back-to-back championship winner in the McLaren at GT Meister Racing. Congratulations, sir. What an amazing race that you had. Amazing. I mean, it seemed like you had a little bit of issues in the rain. Were you one of those dry tire starters?
Yep, I started on the dry tire. It went pretty good. I think the I think the strategy worked out pretty good. It was kind of difficult there at the towards the middle because it got pretty wet out, and I didn't know what to really do, but it ended up working out. So back-to-back champion, and yeah.
Well, congratulations. Now, is there talks? I kind of thought I heard a little bit of talks, maybe possibly, that you will be changing cars next season?
You'll find out.
That's all we can do, ladies and gentlemen. Gas for air and hope for the best. But Bruce Hopkins was definitely a little surprised that you were having issues in the rain. But mostly we kind of figured it was for the dry tire. And so that'll be definitely interesting as we approach Bathurst, which is going to be an amazing race. The question is whether or not you can actually keep the form, keep this form going through and going into Bathurst here next weekend. Are you excited for this race that's coming up?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's awesome.
My
favorite track, ladies and gentlemen. So we should be able to see fast lap after fast lap after fast lap, unless the mountain claims its own and takes you out on its own. But we are going to then move over to our P2 finisher, Mr. Andrew Jashke. Congratulations on your P2 finish. It was truly an interesting battle, an interesting race between you, Andre, Alex, Afonso, Mr. Afonso. I gotta stop doing everybody's full name. Against Andre Afonso. I mean, what an amazing battle that you guys had, and then you guys were able to reel in Aiden Hasbrock. Now, it seemed like if the rain was out just a tad bit longer, you could have leapfrogged Aiden Hasbrock for the win of the race based on the pit strategy, because we are definitely keeping an eye on that. Were you kind of hoping that the rain was going to stay out a little bit longer?
Yeah, I was definitely hoping it would stay out a little bit longer. I was also praying for the rain to start a little bit sooner as well too, but at least we got to see the rain basically like within the first sector. But overall, yeah, it was a risky kind of start. Alfonso and I basically went onto the wet tires to start off. As we saw, there was rain within 5 to 15 minutes, so kind of got lucky on that part, played that strategy right. And then we saw I was going to get back to dry again, so just held out the wets as long as I can. Saw that Hasselbrock was struggling on his dry tires and took the advantage of that for a little bit. Had about, I believe it was like 10 to 11 seconds of the gap behind until conditions swapped over. But yeah, overall, I'm happy that we got at least P2. I believe that bumps me back into a P2 for championship on my end with Artem.
So now the battle between you and Matt Artem now continues into Bathurst of who's going to take that second spot at the Bathurst race. That's definitely going to be an interesting one, and I'm super excited to see that. And it looks like we were not able to get our P3 finisher of Andre Afonso, and huge shout out to him in that race and him coming in towards a little bit the back half of the season. Definitely be an interesting one to see where he is capable of finishing. But again, huge shout out to Aiden Hasbrock for winning the championship here at Kyalami as we approach the final race of the season. Definitely, guys, if you want to join in, definitely take a look at our Discord link. Join in at GT Meister Racing. We'll definitely be starting up some amazing stuff next season. We're definitely going to be having amazing things about to go. But I'm your host, Axia. I'm going to call it a night and definitely wish you guys all the best for the viewers that were watching. And I hope everything can, you guys have a wonderful and blessed weekend. And we will be seeing you next week at Bathurst, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and honestly, guys, it's been a blast. And it's been a blast, honestly, to have Andrew Cooper here in the booth with me, talking with him as well. And we will be seeing you guys later. Have a good night.